All right, good morning, everybody. So today we shall continue with our course, Emerging Technologies in Science Education, where we have been focusing on artificial intelligence and its use in science education. So what we are going to take today will be how to incorporate artificial intelligence in curriculum development. What we do as teachers. Basically, we prepare for our teaching, we teach, and then we assess our students. So how can we incorporate artificial intelligence into this business in such a way that we increase our productivity? Definitely, artificial intelligence has come, or artificial intelligence tools have come to improve our productivity and not to replace our responsibility. All right? Maybe that is another quote of the day. Artificial intelligence-based tools have come to increase our productivity and not to replace our responsibility. Nice one. So today we shall look at what we do as teachers. From preparing for our lesson, preparing the lesson notes. For some of you who have taught before, especially during your teaching practice, or you have been a full-time teacher before, you will understand that preparing for your class is difficult, very difficult. You need to read the textbook, you need to extract the notes from the textbook, you need to choose the right classwork, the right homework, and so on and so forth. And at times, you have to prepare questions by yourself based on what you teach your student. So you can imagine how laborious this task is. So what if we now incorporate AI? Can we save some time while leveraging on AI to perform some tasks for us? This is a big question we are going to answer in this particular lesson. Yes, we can actually do so. Let's start with lesson planning. Suppose I'm planning my lesson. You have lesson notes, or you call it lesson plan, or you call it lesson, like in your teaching practice, they call it teaching practice handbook or logbook, as the case may be. So how can AI come in to ease the way I plan my lesson? There are so many opportunities through which you can use AI. Like I put it here, generative AI has the ability to help teachers quickly create lesson plans that meet the needs of their unique classroom. So because the AI systems are able to respond to the text provided to them, they have the ability to generate hyper-specific and unique lesson plans depending on the kind of things teachers ask the AI to generate. So why the AI, I must also mention this, why the AI might help to generate the perfect lesson, might not help to generate the perfect lesson on the first attempt. You as teachers, you as artificial intelligence literate, you can always ask or modify the prompt for the AI in order to generate something substantial. Let us look at this basic prompt. Suppose we have a 9th grade. If you like, you can call that GSS 3 or something. Okay, and you want to teach them history. You have been so busy along the way, but you have the topic with you. You want to generate the lesson plan from AI. AI can help you. And look at this simple prompt. This simple prompt is telling you how to do just that, in which you can modify to suit your purpose. All right? So this one says, for a 9th grade AP World History classroom, generate a lesson plan for a 45-minute class on the Green Revolution in India. You only provide the topic in this particular case, and you leave everything to the hands of AI. You are going to get some basic output. Let us see that. And I think that's our first exercise this morning. So we can copy this as usual, and then we go to our ChatGPT platform. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Perplexity, you can use any one of your choice. But I'm conversant with ChatGPT, which I use often. So I copy that prompt and I just paste it there. Like I told you the last time, that you should also do the same. As soon as you leave this lesson, when you are revising your note, you should be running this prompt. Don't let any of the prompt mix you by. So I just copy the prompt and I put it here and I click on enter. And in no time, you see ChatGPT generating the lesson plan from the scratch, which you as a teacher, you can build on this and then modify this. So this will save you the time of planning all these things. You just need to modify and then you are happy. So in 10, 15 minutes, less than 30 minutes, you already have your lesson plan. You just copy it out, put it on your Microsoft Word, and then send it for printing or something. Then you have it. So let it finish, then we go through it, what it has done for us, and how good it has done this. All right? So let's have it. So here we have the output. It says lesson plan, the Green Revolution in India. This is the topic. It could be anything. All right? Then, as usual, in standard lesson plan, you have the class you are teaching, you have the subject or the course. In our case, we say subject for secondary school. All right? The time for 5 minutes. And the theme is economic and environment transformations. Then the key concept, the Green Revolution and its impact on India. Then you have the learning objectives, which I rather prefer to call it learning outcomes. Then it said, by the end of this lesson, students should be able to explain what the Green Revolution is, analyze the economic, social, and environmental effects, then evaluate. Look at these verbs. These are standard verbs for coining your learning outcomes. It has to be SMART. You remember that? Specific, measurable. Then what? The A in the SMART is for what? It has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be, what is A in SMART? Then realistic is R, then T is what? Is time bound. So your learning outcomes, it must be specific. So you have to use some action verbs that are specific. Then it has to be measurable. So you must be able to measure the what? The verb must show that you are able to measure the learning outcomes, because that is going to determine what you are going to assess at the end of the day. All right? Then that to be realistic. It must be realistic, not something that you cannot cover within the time frame. That has to be what? Time bound. So in this case, we are talking about 45 minutes. So can we achieve these things within 45 minutes? The answer is yes. All right. So we also have the lesson outline here, like a warm-up activity, icebreaker. Some people will call it 5 minutes. What you are going to do, they can start with think, pair, share to warm up the student and give you an idea on how to do that. Then have your lecture, your mini lecture with discussion, 15 minutes. All right. Then small group activity. Okay. Successes and challenges, 15 minutes. Then wrap up and exit ticket, 10 minutes. Then you have the assessment and homework here. So this is a typical plan, all right, which you cannot take this and then enrich it with your own content, and then you'll be happy at the end of the day. So that is one way. So you can also have a template, like the way you want the lesson to be structured. You know, this one is just a basic prompt for preparing the lesson plan. But you can have your template, the way you want the lesson to be structured. Yes, of course, you can put whatever thing you have. You can load your prompt. So we have a specific example here where we have, for a 5th grade English class, generate a lesson plan for a 30-minute class on subjects, verb agreement, subject and verb. When you use singular subject, you have to use singular verb. When you use plural subject, you have to use plural verb. Okay, with guiding questions. This is one of the constraints. You want guiding questions to be there. Common core standards, like we have in our curriculum too, a door opener, lecture, group activity, and exit ticket. This is the format that the way you write your own lesson plan, and you want ChatGPT or AI, any other AI-based tool to write the lesson plan in this way. So we can copy this prompt again and see what kind of output are we going to get. Is it going to be the same with the previous structure or different? So you can copy that and paste here. Then you just click on send. So in less than 2 minutes, less than 1 minute at times, you have it here. Okay. All right. Maybe this is familiar to some of you, where you present your lesson plan in tabular form. Yes, you can also do that here. AI text-based artificial intelligence-based programs can actually provide tabular form for you. But let's see this now. It is very short. We said it is 30 minutes. So we have the grade level, we have the subject, we have the duration, then we have the common core standard. Then we have what this is going to be. Then we have the lesson component. Remember we mentioned door opener? That's like icebreaker. We have the lecture for 10 minutes. We have guiding questions. We have group activity. Then we have the exit ticket to evaluate the students. So this is a template for you through which you can modify and then you move on with this. So AI can save your time by generating this for you as a document to work with. Then you can build on it and then improve on what is generated. Remember, AI-based tools, they are what? They are to increase your productivity and not to replace your responsibility. That is another quote. Amazing. Then, what again? You may want to organize your class based on some specific techniques, active learning strategies. All right? We spoke about before problem-based learning. We spoke about project-based learning. We spoke about constructivism classroom. Then we spoke about the inquiry-based learning. If you want to structure your class based on inquiry-based technique, you want to structure your lesson plan based on inquiry-based technique, you can come to AI-based tools that will help you to design your lesson plan that will suit the kind of approach you want. And this is what we are talking about here. Now look at this prompt, which we are going to run now. It says, for a third grade science class, generate a lesson plan for a 60-minute lesson that incorporates project-based learning. You can replace this with any teaching method that you want. There are countless of them, including techniques and approaches. So we want ChatGPT to design this lesson plan based on a project-based learning to teach what? The concept of gravity that is based on common core standards. Remember, this standard, this is for those in the US. We also have our Nigerian standard, the NERDC standard. We have our curriculum. So you can upload the curriculum and then ask ChatGPT to design the lesson plan based on the curriculum. This is possible, very simple things. But this prompt now is general prompt. It's not specific. So if you want it to be specific, you can make it so. All right, let us get this and then see what output will look like. We want a lesson plan that is based on what? On project-based teaching strategy. We just copy and paste, and then you relax. Grab a cup of coffee, but not in Ramadan, yes? So grab a cup of coffee and then you are fine, or do something else. Then you will see this generating what we ask using what? Using the project-based teaching strategy. And of course, for every project-based teaching strategy, there must be projects. The student must work on what? On projects. So we see what's going on here. It has just finished that. All right. So we have it here. It says, understanding gravity through project-based learning. So we have the preliminary pages. Then it produces this in tabular form. Take note of something. You may ask yourself, you don't ask this machine to produce this in tabular form, but it has produced it. Why? I may tell you a reason. A reason could be that, remember the first one, the first lesson plan was not in tabular form. But the second prompt, we asked for table format. Look, we asked for table format. Then it produced the response in tabular form. Then this one, we don't ask for table format, but it produced this in tabular form. Why? It was because it has learned from the last prompt. Perhaps you like the next lesson plan to be in tabular form. That's why it put it in tabular form. So if you want to stop this, and the good thing I must tell you now is this learning is based on this particular page. If I open a fresh ChatGPT platform, the template could be different. And we're going to try it out. Maybe it will be different or the same. But before then, let us analyze this lesson plan. It states the objective, okay, the learning outcome. Then it asks icebreaker. So icebreaker is using inquiry here because I can see engage. Why do things fall? Then some student can say you can drop a pen and ask, why did it fall to the ground instead of floating? You can show a short video or animation of astronauts in space to compare gravity on Earth versus gravity in space. You can ask the question, what would happen if there were no gravity? This is icebreaker, just to start the class, a kind of introduction. Then you have the lesson, the lecture, where you explain the gravity as discussed. This is where you bring your lesson note and write everything here, okay, from your textbook or from where you are bringing it from. Then you have the project. Project is an activity that the student will do. Then we have an example here. Experiment, parachute drop challenge. Goal, student design a parachute to slow the fall of a small object, toy, or a paper clip. The materials that you need, coffee filter, string, tape. The process of doing that, it explains everything for you. You don't have to bother much. You as a teacher, you study this before you go to the class. Then you come to the class, you bring all the materials together, and then you ask the student to brainstorm and do this on their own. They will come up with this project. This is project-based learning. The activity, look at activity, 25 minutes. That means in project-based learning, teacher will still teach, like the mini lecture, before the student will work on specific project. After that, there's going to be discussion and reflection, where you ask some critical thinking questions. What did you notice about the parachute that fell slowly? How did gravity still affect wherever? You continue to ask this. Then you have the exit ticket. Exit ticket is a form of evaluation that will keep the students in check on what they have learned. Then you have the assessment, where you now assess the student at the end of the day. All right. So this is what is a typical example where you want your lesson note to be designed based on a particular method of teaching. Now, I said this particular output, it was produced in tabular form because ChatGPT has learned from the previous prompt that state that the output should be in tabular format. Let us now see. So let us now see how it's going to look like if I open and run this prompt again on a different page. So you can do that from here where you have your new chat. Okay, click on new chat, then it takes me to a fresh page. Now that my prompt, I still have it. I just copy and paste it, all right? Then ask ChatGPT to generate. Then we sit back and see how the lesson note will look like. Mind you, each time you generate, the output will be different. It is randomization in place here. The output will be different. So let's see how this will come up. Oh, I can see the first difference, that this is not in tabular form. Perfect. All right, let it finish. It is still running that for you. All right. So we still have it. Then the assessment, and then we are fine. Let us see how it looks like. So we have lesson plan, like we have it, understanding gravity through exploration. There's brought some standards, some textbooks, wherever. Then we have the learning objectives. We have understand. Everybody here should be able to criticize this objective. If you are not able to criticize this objective, then okay, so you are not able to criticize the objective. Okay, let us just have it now. Okay, look at the first objective. Now it is time for you to open your mic and speak. Look at the first objective. It says, understand that gravity is a force that pulls objects toward Earth. This objective, is it standard or not? If the answer is yes, then you tell me why. And the answer is no, you also tell me why. So look at the first objective. Now you can unmute yourself and speak. I give you some few seconds to do that. Unmute yourself. Give it a try. Remember, there is no wrong answer. Okay? So feel free to say your mind. Look at the first objective. Is it a standard objective or not? If your internet is not good, you can put your answer in the chat. Right in the chat. That's not a problem. Yes? Who is going ahead? Bala, Elizabeth, want to say something?
Sir?
Is this a standard objective or not? Yes or no? If no, why? Okay, somebody put something in the chat. U19EQ 1024 says, sir, using a word like understand in stating learning outcomes is not acceptable because it is not a measurable verb or a measurable term. Do you agree with this explanation?
Yes, sir.
But remember, in Bloom's taxonomy, when you talk about understanding, is one of the levels of processing, right?
Yes, sir.
But we have an answer here that says understand is the problem in this particular objective. Any counter opinion? You can use the chat if your network doesn't allow you to speak. Fauzia, do you want to say something?
No, sir. No.
Okay. Then Jibril Kabiru Danladi, what is your opinion?
Sir.
Your network is cracking. In any case, to save our time, I think the first person got the answer correctly. The word understand is not a measurable term, because to understand something could mean that you are able to define that thing. To understand something could mean you are able to list the examples. To understand something could mean you are able to identify that thing. So understand is a broad term that encompasses a lot of things. So this may not be as measurable as we want it. So, like I mentioned before, ChatGPT will generate content for you with confidence, but you are not to accept everything the way it is generated. You need to bring your own initiative. You bring your own knowledge. You bring your own critical thinking to evaluate the content generated by ChatGPT. So this particular objective 1 is not correct. Instead of you saying understand, you can use a different verb that is measurable. Conduct is fine. Apply is okay. But understand, no. All right? Excellent. But a way to use understand could be to bring an action verb in between. Should be able to, does what? Okay. Okay, also understand is not measurable. Thank you. Somebody even criticized the beginning here, like by the end of the lesson, the student should be able to, not the student will. Okay, they should be able to, not the will. All right. So either ways, that is another way to reformulate this to suit your purpose. So for every time you get output from ChatGPT, evaluate it, bring your knowledge, and then adapt it to your context. Now, but what we want to bring out from here is the output we generated before, it was in tabular form, but here now it is not in tabular form. And then look at the lesson structure, engagement, hook activity. This is like the icebreaker that we had there before. So here we talk about begin with a story or a video about astronaut in space. They look the same and so on. Then we have the exploration. This is where we have the project-based learning activity, where the student will build a parachute to observe gravity and air resistance. Then we have some guiding questions and the materials needed. Then the explanation, where you're going to connect this to science concept. All right. Remember, in the last one, the mini lecture comes before the experiment, but this one now, experiment comes before the lecture. Then you need to elaborate where they apply the knowledge, and you need to evaluate where you give exit ticket and they reflect on what they have learned. So this is how it looks like, and you are fine with this. Perfect. I should be able to remove these marks, right? Somebody drew it. Then I'm sharing again so that the marks will be out of the way. All right. So we have just learned how to use AI to design lesson plan based on some specific techniques or specific teaching method or specific teaching model or learning model or specific approach of teaching or approach to teaching. So you can adapt this, you can work on this, and then you'll be happy with what you generate at the end of the day. So you can also use AI to provide feedback, okay, based on the lesson. You are incorporating feedback into the lesson plan, right from the lesson plan. So where they will be following the lesson plan, you as a teacher, when you are teaching, you have the lesson plan through which you have some specific areas at which you provide feedbacks to the student. So this will remind you when you are teaching. So it is better at times to incorporate this in your plan before you start teaching. All right. So look at this one. My students found my last classroom activity to be static. Okay. They want something where they can move around. Generate a 45-minute lesson plan for one-digit multiplication, okay, for my third grade classroom, incorporating that feedback. All right, you have thoughts, and then the student made some complaints, and you want to incorporate that into your next teaching. You can ask AI to develop a lesson plan that will incorporate the feedback. So you can run this at your time, then you'll be happy with it. They also have AI prompts for backward design. You know, in curriculum development, you have different techniques. You can have backward design approach. You can have the spiral approach, you know. So backward design, then you can have concept mapping. If some of you took some courses in curriculum before, you have this when you're designing the curriculum. So all these courses that are these topics that are spelled out on the curriculum, you know, GSS 1, for instance, the themes of the curriculum for BST, they are the same as that of GSS 2. They are the same as that of GSS 3. It's just that when you get to GSS 2, they will pick the content from GSS 1 and improve on it. Okay? And then when you get to GSS 3, they will pick the content in GSS 2 and improve on it. So you kind of spiral approach and backward design. So you can use AI can help you to structure what you are going to teach in that particular way, or structure your curriculum in that particular way for your personal use. So you have an example here and a sample prompt. Now, let's now talk about some use cases of using AI in our lesson planning. If you want to take constructivist approach to teaching, AI can design a lesson plan for you that suits constructivism. If you want to take inquiry, AI can design a lesson plan for you that will be on inquiry-based learning. We've took example on project-based before. If you want to use flipped classroom, you can ask AI to create what? To create a lesson plan based on flipped classroom. Let us see this. I like technology in teaching a lot. Let's take this one. Look at this prompt. Create a lesson plan for a flipped classroom model in high school physics class, including pre-class materials, in-class activities, and assessment tools. Perfect. So let's copy this out. All right. Then we put it here. Then we say, go ahead and create it for us. I'm just sitting down, you know, waiting for this guy to finish the job. And this is productivity. I can use my time, my free time. I can free up some time and then use it for something else. You don't have to worry on which type of lesson materials you are going to do, or the video lesson or something. This guy will finish the work for you in no time. Then we have it is still going on, generating the lesson plan for teaching this concept in physics, right? Using the flipped classroom model. Now you can see in this particular prompt, the concept is not mentioned. It's only physics class. So this may not be realistic enough. So you can modify the prompt. Like I mentioned to you, this prompt, they are just there in general form. You can modify them to suit your own context at every point in time and bring your initiative. And like we mentioned in lesson 1, prompt engineering is the foundation of AI usage. Prompt engineering is what? A foundation of AI usage. You need to master your prompt, because the quality of your prompt will determine the quality of the output. Perfect. So let's see what has been done. Okay, now AI is wise enough and picked a concept. Flipped classroom lesson, Newton's law of motion. In the prompt, we didn't talk about the concept, but this guy is wise enough to bring up a concept. The level is grade high school physics. The duration 60 minutes. Then the standard are there. The learning outcomes, I think these are okay. You can explain, you can apply, you can conduct an experiment. Then in flipped classroom, where you have to ask your student to read the course material and then use the class time for problem solving. That is flipped classroom. Unlike in traditional classroom, where the classroom will be for lecture and the house or the art of the classroom will be for homework. So in flip, you are reversing that process. You are bringing the homework to the classroom and you are bringing the teaching to home. So you are going to prepare the lesson materials. The student will watch this before they come to your class. Look, so it can be video lecture, 15 to 20 minutes. It can be an interactive simulation, then some guided notes which the student will master before they come to class, pre-class. The in-class activity, this is where they will now engage with the content, active learning and application of what they have learned. Then gives you how to do it. You can do peer instruction. You can have hands-on experiments on inquiry-based learning, and it has given you how to conduct the experiment. This is the most important thing here. You don't have to crack your brain thinking, oh, which experiment I asked them to do or something. I will do it for you. Then you just relax, you're happy. Bring it, adapt it, and then make it suit your context. Look at the experiments. It's about investigating the relationship between force, mass, and acceleration. And what you need a dynamic cart, you need weight, you need pulley, you need motion sensors, or you need smartphone accelerometer apps. Okay? So if you think some of these things are even difficult to get, you can ask AI, you can modify your prompt, and then ask AI to use material that are readily available in Nigeria classrooms. Then instead of picking some things that may not be available, it will give you the ones that are available. Then you okay, the procedure for the experiment, then discussion afterward, the problem solving challenge and the collaborative learning where the student will solve some problems. Look at this example. A 1,200 kilogram car accelerates at an acceleration of what, 2 meter per second square. What force is what is required? So this is what the student can do, and we have the exit tickets and the assessment tools. All right. So this is a lesson plan that is based on what? Inquiry based learning. Perfect. All right. So you can also use this in nursery school and in the role play method in STEAM education. This is an example of prompt. You can use it for independent study, learning styles, a lesson note that will take care of people with different learning styles. In this case, he has taken that of PUB, where you have the visual, auditory, and the kinesthetic learners. So you can ask AI to prepare your lesson notes that will suit the student with different learning styles. All right. Then you have the detailed lesson plan. If you want it to even generate the lesson notes, including the lesson plan, it can do that for you. Then the curriculum plan. So you can run this prompt at your leisure time to see what kind of output and try to evaluate the output. Very important. So these are some of the ways through which you can generate your lesson plan. All right. You can also use, after generating the lesson plan, what we do as teachers. Okay, we teach and then we assess our students. We either provide what we call the formative assessment or the summative assessment. In the summative assessment, or some people will call it formative assessment, some people will call it feedback, some people will call it formative activities, where the student will engage in the classroom. And there are ways through which you can do that. In nursery and primary school, mostly we use worksheets, where you provide worksheets, they call it classwork, and you will give the student to be doing either individually or in groups. And you can make some games. Oh, I like this one. I like this. Usually when you talk about games, our mind goes to digital games. There are some non-digital games that the student can play while they are in class. That will not require any technology in any way. You don't have to crack your brain too much. Just ask AI to give you this game that is relevant to the content you want to teach. We shall see in this section. So we cover that. You can use AI to create quiz. You can use it to make some essay prompts. You can use it for discussion in classroom. You can use it as for writing exercises, for getting some problem set, for role play and so on. So let us concentrate on the prompt, the use cases, where we can use AI to coin or to develop formative activities or formative assessment. Look at the multiple choice questions. You can ask AI to create multiple choice question. Look, let us run this content. This is very important. This is about a set of 10 multiple choice questions on water cycle for a 5th grade science class. And then, okay, let's get it done first. Look, I just copied that prompt and I paste it here. Generate a set of 10 multiple choice questions on the water cycle for 5th grade science class. Then I click on run. This is the basic prompt a newbie, a new user of AI can run. But I will give you more. Just let it finish. All right, so the 6th question is being you see, look at the number of hours you are going to spend coining all these things and be looking for unique answer, distractor, and stuff like that. So this is done. We have it. Okay, so it says multiple choice questions on water cycle, 5th grade science class. You can use it as a worksheet in the classroom. All right. So what is the process called when water changes from a liquid to a gas? Say it's evaporation. You must note one thing here. It has given you 4 options and it has given you the correct answer. Even though I don't ask it to give me correct answer, at times it behaves like this. It gives the correct answer and at times it will not. If it didn't give you the correct answer, you can ask it, okay, answer the questions that you have set. And again, you have 4 options here. This is the default. At times it can be 3, it can be 5, it can be anything. You can also make it clear that you want 4 options with 1 unique answer. And if you want 5 options, then you can say 5 options with 1 unique what? 1 unique answer. So this is one thing. Another thing again here is you have to. I use the word. You know when they say have to, they mean you must. So you must review the answers to each of the questions. You must. The reason being that AI, remember in our lesson 1, we said AI can hallucinate, can tell you something wrong with boldness. So that is why you must review the answers. Okay, when the answers are correct, okay. And if at times you ask it for questions and you too cannot solve the problem, you find it difficult to solve, you can say again, explain step by step the solution to each question. Explain step by step the solution to each what? To each question. You can even do that here if you want. Let's see. Even though this is just direct answer, explain step by step, okay? The what? The answer, the correct answer, all right? The correct answer to what? To each question, all right? Then you click on that. Then you see for the question why the answer is evaporation. Then see the explanation. Okay? So from here, even though you don't know the answer, from here you can know whether the answer is right or wrong. And at times, while the ChatGPT is explaining the explanation, it can correct itself. If it has chosen for you a wrong answer and asks you to explain, it will explain and choose the correct answer. This is very important. Take note of that. So we have the explanation, which you can do this and copy it for your students. You can copy it for your students. You know, when you ask them to submit and then they all submitted, you grade it and then you can give this to them as a kind of marking scheme so that they will know why they are wrong. You know, like what we just do, and this is a form of feedback. You know, what we just do is right, wrong, and the student will not know why it's wrong. Even some students will not know why they are right. But if you ask ChatGPT to explain and you have the explanation on why option A is chosen, in question 3, then the student will know, oh, this is the reason why I'm wrong. Okay? Okay? Very good. Now, these are open questions, and teaching does not work like this. Because you, as a teacher, like we mentioned in class, if I'm not mistaken, that what you teach is what you must assess, right? And must be what you set out to teach. Invariably, you should not teach what you will not assess, and you should not assess what you will not what you didn't teach. So this is just some common questions. They may not be relevant to the notes that you have given to your student in the class. So how can you make these questions relevant to the notes you are giving your student in class? Very simple. Just copy your note from wherever it is and then paste it here. Ask ChatGPT to learn the note. It will learn. Thereafter, you can now say, generate a set of 10 multiple choice questions based on what you have read. Then you will see from the content you have uploaded, ChatGPT will learn. You can even upload Word documents. This is where you have option for file upload, and you can copy that text and paste it. Then you will be fine. All right. So to demonstrate that, let us just pick this one. This is just a content of our notes, or let's pick it up to before the prompt. Okay, let's get it here. Then I want to copy this. For instance, now I can copy this, then I paste it here. Then I say, learn the following. Learn the following. Okay. I just ask it to learn this. Then to tell you that it has finished learning, or even reframe what it has learned. All right, so you see, so memory updated. That sounds like a great way to enhance student engagement while saving time on preparation wherever. Then I say now, generate 3 multiple choice questions, right? Multiple choice questions, okay? Based on what you learn, right? Based on what you learn, huh? Based on what you learn. Then you see multiple question coming up based on the content I have uploaded, even with correct answer. So if I want to set multiple choice for your exam now, I can just do this. Then I will be happy. Why you guys will be what? You'll be sweating in the exam hall. Done. The word is so easy. And not only multiple choice, essay questions, anything can come up. So that means if you want to outsmart me, you can take my note and put in ChatGPT and ask it to generate what? Essay questions for you. After generating it, ask it to solve it. Use that to study for my notes. No problem. We meet in the exam hall. Yes? So you can do that. Multiple choice question is possible. Short story is possible. Crossword puzzle is possible. Dialogue, these are some kind of formative activities. Fill in the blank exercise is possible. True or false, any type, any question type is possible. All right, and so on. As you can use ChatGPT for formative activities, you can also use it for summative activities. Remember, formative happens during the what? During the lesson, right? And it is not meant to punish the student. It is meant to correct the student. Unlike formative, that happens at the end of the lesson, or it happens at the end of the course, which is for testing the knowledge the student have gained throughout the course. And in that case, any mistake a student makes is a punishment. The student will either pass the course or fail the course or get a grade in between, isn't it? So what we are saying there is, for summative assessment covers the whole of the track, the learning track, from the beginning to the end. Why formative assessment is for corrective measures, for feedback, and not for the mistakes there. They are meant to improve you. They are not meant to do what? To punish you. All right. So AI can come in here, can do you wonders, just it has done you for that of formative activities. And then you can have a kind of conversation with AI. So where you can even ask AI to convert some things the students have written into a more interactive, or what you have written. I didn't mention this in your lesson notes. You can have your lesson notes, which you use over the years. You can ask AI to improve on it. Okay, this is my lesson note I used to teach those course. Now I want you to improve on this. Incorporate think, peer, share, incorporate think aloud, incorporate this one, incorporate any technique of teaching. Then you see AI improving. So you as a teacher, that's how you improve your lesson note. You cannot be static. You need to keep updating what you teach. All right? So the same thing goes for university lecturers too. You don't have to be static. You have your lesson note, fine. AI can proofread. AI can, can modify it for you to suit what you want without you going through the rigorous activities. With that, you are going to free up some time for yourself. Right? So you have some of the things you can do with AI here, and you can use it to even make some kind of rubrics for assessment. like the one I showed you earlier on. So we have some summative assessment opportunities here and some prompts that you can ask AI to build the assessment for you. All right. Look here, I like this exam. Generate a comprehensive exam for a college introductory biology course focusing on cell biology and genetics. A comprehensive exam. If you see ChatGPT running this for you and you are fine, just sit down and relax. Okay? And it can be a capstone project at the end of a course. Then you can have a capstone project like at the end of your program too in 400 level right now. I'm sure some of you perhaps you have been given your supervisors which you need to go to them, get some topics, and they work on a project. All right, so you can have this in here, and you can use it to create some rubrics. This is how you can do that, to create marking scheme. That is the loose word for rubrics, marking scheme. All right, so that's what you can do with ChatGPT when it comes to assessment. So another bonus content here is when you can use ChatGPT for distance learning and for remote education. So you can tutor yourself. I've just given you a way to tutor yourself now with my lesson note. And it is not peculiar to my lesson note. Any course that you are taking and you find the course difficult to understand, as far as lesson note is available for that course, and you know the lecturer is the type that teach what he assesses and assess what he taught. So then you can copy, you can use his lesson notes, and in collaboration with AI, you can learn. Ask AI to rewrite the lesson notes in a simple language or to explain it for a primary school pupil, and then after doing that for you, you can ask AI to generate questions, multiple choice question, fill in the gap, essay, and so on and so forth. Okay, then you can ask AI to even answer the questions after generating the questions. How lazy are you? And if you are too lazy to read, you can ask AI to read it for you. So what a life. So you just sit down and be happy. So as AI is reading, you can convert to audio and you can put it on your MP3 and start listening to the lesson. Amazing. All right, so AI can be used for distance and remote learning, and especially when the pandemic came and people start to move online for teaching, and some people started to enroll for distance learning. Ahmadu Bello University too is running programs in distance learning. I'm not sure if any of our program is there yet, but maybe we are getting there. So I'm not sure if our HOD is in the meeting, so perhaps he's hearing me now. So it's a thing we can also look at to put some of our courses in distance learning. So people from outside this area, they can enroll for the course or our program. They can enroll for our program and have a degree that you are having while you are here. They do that at their comfort zones. All right. So AI can be used for this, for personalized learning. AI can help you, and it can be both synchronous and asynchronous. You can use AI to compress a video lesson. You can use AI to develop tasks based on the video lesson. You can use AI as a teacher to even develop lesson plan. I think that's where we are going there. Yeah. As a teacher, you can use AI to develop lesson plan for a remote learning or a distance learning. So look at it here. We have something here. Design a comprehensive lesson plan for 6th grade distance education class, focusing on the water cycle. The lesson should be engaging, including interactive elements, and conclude with a short quiz. Let us run this. Let's run this prompt. All right. So we can just copy and paste, and then you are happy, and make some modifications, and then you are fine. So you just copy and paste, then you have the comprehensive lesson plan coming up here. 6th grade distance education. These are preliminaries, right? Then the learning objectives. We have 4 learning objectives there, right? Then you have the structure of the lesson, the direct instruction, and I believe that should be incorporated with technology. So you can see student engagement. All right. Then the method of teaching is no longer direct instruction, yes. Then you can check their understanding using short quizzes and so on. Let's review this. Nice one. By the way, this is generated in real time. Even I myself have not run the code before. I've not run the prompt. So That's by implication telling you that you should also run your own. And the output may be different from my own because this is based on some probabilities. All right, we may not get the exact thing. So we have the learning objectives, and look at here, demonstrate understanding through an interactive activity and a short quiz. So even though the understand as a verb is not used, right? But demonstrate as a verb is used. Does that mean this particular learning outcome is acceptable? I've laid that for you. Maybe you talk to me on that next time. I repeat, this particular lesson, this particular learning outcome, right? It doesn't say to understand, but rather say demonstrate understanding. Demonstrate is an action verb. Okay? So because now demonstrate has preceded understand, does that mean this learning outcome, right, is now acceptable? So that is the question for you. Be thinking about it. All right, lesson structure. So you can see some pre-lesson engagement where you are going to activate their prior knowledge. So warm-up activity or icebreaker. You can start with a kind of quiz or a poll. You just say, okay, where do you think rainwater comes from? You can put some options: ocean, clouds, lake, and the ground. Then people will start picking the answer. Don't be surprised, some people will pick wrong answers. Even if you run the poll here now, some of you may also pick wrong answer. Then you can easily discuss that in Google Meet, and then you are fine. Then you can have short introductory video on water cycle. Just play it for them. It's remote learning. Just play it for them. Then they watch it, finish, good. Then you now do what? Direct instruction. This is where you now teach. You direct instruct them by giving them the information one by one. Then you are happy doing that. Then you now move to interactive what activity where you are going to engage the student. We usually say that direct instruction is a traditional method, isn't it? We usually say that direct instruction, lecture method, right? They are what? Traditional method. That in this method, teachers don't engage the student. That's a kind of teacher-centered method of teaching. But what if you now use direct instruction in collaboration with interactive activity? That is, you enrich your what? Direct instruction in collaboration. Because one thing we must know is direct instruction, we cannot run away from it because it has its advantages, especially in science. Student needs to be directly instructed. So, but that shouldn't be the whole thing we use 2 hours to do. There should be room for students to do what? To engage in some activities. So we enrich that direct instruction. So it's not giving you a kind of enrichment where you are going to engage the student on some activities at your leisure time. You can read through these things and then you see how important they are. Then you also do what? You check their understanding. You assess them and review what you have done. You can have some questions on wherever, and then you have the exit ticket. Exit ticket is to keep in check what you have learned and let it stay with the student before the next class. All right? So like saying, what is one new fact you learned today about water cycle? Students will write it down on their journal. There is one method they call journaling, reflective journaling, where every student will come to class with a journal and they will be writing what they have learned in each class in that journal. So that will keep them in check when they are reviewing. They say, okay, on the 15th of February, I learned this, okay, what he was saying in class, and that will make them to remember what was discussed in class. It's a form of reflective thinking. Those who work in metacognition, they might be familiar with what they call reflective journalism. It's a technique there. All right, then have some materials for technology needed, and you have the homework you can give to your students, and then you are fine. All right. So this is one way to use AI for distance learning or distance remote learning in planning the lesson. You can use it also for time management. So this is a prompt through which you can generate a list of best practices for students to effectively manage their time while learning from home in a distance education. So it can be used for asynchronous curriculum design, teacher coaching, icebreaker, digital scavenger hunt. This is a game. Okay, and I think we should take this one. Design an interactive digital scavenger hunt activity for middle school students studying world geography in a remote learning setting. Let us run this code and let it be the final prompt we are running today. So I mentioned the fact that you can always use what AI to do what? To design some games, non-digital games that can easily be implemented in the classroom. All right? So let's see this, what is coming up. A kind of interactive digital scavenger hunt. But mind you, this we are talking about online learners here. So perhaps this is going to be based on what? On online game. But let's see how it is done. But you can always adapt it to the one without the use of technology. You don't have to meet any computer scientist or any program or any software developer before you do this. If something is wrong, you couldn't figure it out, ask AI to do it for you. It will give you the code. Then you run it in Python or wherever, and then you have your game. But I'm sure it is going to use some kind of cheap and readily available digital tool like Google Drive, Google Meets, and so on and so forth. Yep. So that is the end. Let us review what we have done here quickly. So we have interactive digital scavenger hunts, and we have the time, we have the objective of that. So then activity structure, setting the stage, the hook, that is the icebreaker, short introductory video about it. Explain the scavenger hunt rules, the rules. Students will be given clues leading them to specific geographic locations. They will use Google Earth, Google Map, or virtual tour to find answer. They must record their findings in a Google form or class Padlet. Bonus point for creativity, adding images, fun fact. This is a game. This is a game. Then we have the challenge here, some things in here, some sample clues. At your time, review these things and try to study them. Then you should be thinking, how can I incorporate this into my own things? How can I incorporate this into my teaching? How can I incorporate this into my business? Yes, you should be thinking of this too. Some of you that are entrepreneur inclined. So then the material needed and so on and so forth. Then you are fine. So far, so good. What we have spoken about has to do with how we can integrate AI into our teaching. Okay, how we can integrate AI to plan our lesson, how we can integrate AI to formulate formative assessment, and how we can integrate AI to formulate summative assessment, and how we can integrate AI into distance learning as teachers. So with this, I hope you have a kind of taste of the numerous possibility, the endless possibilities of using AI in our teaching and learning. So I'm stop sharing my screen, and then we have some little time for interaction. You have questions. This is the point where you can ask the questions, and while that is going on, I will take the attendance through my screenshot. So I can stop recording now. So you are free to